the new rules, let's talk about the types of events that will be affected and what they actually are. So the sanctioned, the non-scholastic, scholastic, the camps. Like, let's go towards the events and the effects that it will have on some of the events.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is important to note because they're talked about so often. And then when you break it down, some people don't really understand what those words mean. So for a sanctioned event, that means that the NCAA and the event basically spoke and said that they are going to comply by all the NCAA rules. So, and that means that, Division I coaches are allowed to attend. So when you're going to a camp, you want to make sure it's an NCAA sanctioned event. There are, which they're, doing a lot of effort to make sure that these don't pop up, but there will be sometimes events that aren't necessarily NCAA sanctioned, and maybe they're saying that they're getting certain coaches, but they might not be. So you just want to make sure that you're looking out for those events that are actually sanctioned by the NCAA. And it's basically just a general certification saying, hey, you're allowed to run this event, and we want your kids to come, and coaches are allowed to be there. So those are certain things that are very, very important to know. And then another thing, go ahead.
Oh, no, I agree. On the sanctioned events, people always see that and they're like, is this, you have to be NCAA certified for NCAA coaches to actually attend that event in any way, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. And then NCAA can monitor and basically regulate everything to do with that event, and the basketball in general. So they're trying to, kind of put their hand in it and say, hey, we're making sure that these athletes and coaches are following certain regulations in order to remain eligible and everything else. So sanctioned events are super important to note if you're a basketball player. That's where you want to be. The next one that I'd like to bring up is non-scholastic but sanctioned. So that's more of like your AAU tournaments. And that means that you're kind of not dealing directly. You might not be dealing directly with shoe brands and everything else like that. It's more something that is just like, the AAU tournaments in general. And when you're talking about scholastic specifically, so a scholastic event means no involvement from apparel brands whatsoever. And those could be scholastic sanctioned events and non-scholastic sanctioned events as well. So you want to make sure those are there. And then a new thing that, you hear of camps and showcases and everything else, but NCAA for basketball, they're really making sure that there's a new grouping of camps that are coming up that are run by the NCAA and other institutions. So USA Basketball, NBA Players Association, and the NCAA. And this is the first time that you'll really see these four powerhouses kind of get together in order to run these camps and kind of go forward with the new recruiting practices that they're putting in place, given everything that's been going on in the basketball world.
Yeah, I think that's the one that is getting people a little bit, because from what the new, and we'll go into the recruiting calendar and the kind of like the changes, but it seems like with the new recruiting calendar, those are going to be affected the most for the shoe brands, these events. So the non-scholastic sanctioned events where there was more time to go to these events at the end of July, beginning of July, if you have it throughout April, everything from, Bigfoot, or in the past Super 64, or the Nike, any of those, right? I always like to say the EYBL and the Peach Jam and the Under Armour circuits that they have. So all these events that we have in the past are going to get affected in the July period mostly, especially because of these new camps probably that they're going to be implementing.